Hey friends, welcome to Hot News. Hope you're enjoying your weekend. You enjoyed your weekend. Did you guys go see Endgame? Were you one of the people who contributed $1.2 billion to the opening weekend? You probably were, if statistics are anything to go by. And I know we're not supposed to talk about spoilers, although I'm not necessarily sure when the embargo on that lifts. When can you actually start talking about the movie? But can we just say that the Squirrel Girl scene where she sends her squirrels to nibble off Thanos' nuts, way too graphic. Children were crying in the gosh dang theater. Marvel, unnecessary, okay? Not cool. But you also, you know what else is not cool? AMD GPUs. Let's get into the hot news. So we've got a PCB leaked, which is potentially a Navi GPU if the fact that we don't know what this thing is and it looks different than all of the other GPUs we've seen from AMD are anything to go by. So there's some key interesting features on this PCB image that was leaked on Twitter. Firstly, all of the memory, that is GDDR6 based on the pin counts. So it looks like it's gonna have about 8 gigabytes of GDDR6. It looks like it's going to be on a 256-bit bus, which if we're talking about equivalent to NVIDIA, that would put it in the 2070 to 2080 level region, which actually isn't too bad. You can see that it has space for two 8-pin power connectors. And if you go by BuildZoid's video where he deconstructs this PCB shot, there's the indication that yes, while there are spots for two 8-pin PCI Express power connectors, it's likely also going to use it if you look at the power phase delivery in the VRM. It's kind of overkill if they're only going to be using 6 pins. So it actually looks like this is going to be a hot and hungry GPU by a lot of indications, and it also looks like they're going to be doing a reference style blower cooler on this based on the 3 little holes on the right hand side. That's where you would mount the fan, and based on everything that we can see, the blower style cooler ain't going to work very well. This is going to be another Vega level situation, especially considering things like the Radeon 7 or even Vega didn't get third-party cards for quite some time. This is going to be really, really bad as far as cooling. So you're going to have another hot and loud AMD card, which, while we don't know whether or not this is going to be consumer level Navi, hopefully if this is a blower style situation, this is going to be more professional grade stuff, kind of like the Frontier Edition, or maybe even higher end than that, like the Radeon Instinct level stuff. This is definitely a new GPU from AMD, something that we haven't seen before, with a different layout that is not normal, and GDDR6 is not currently available on any AMD card, so there's good indication that this will be Navi. We're expecting that announcement to come out with Lisa Su's keynote speech at Computex, so there's a lot of good indication that we are getting a new graphics card sometime soon. And in case you don't remember, back when the RTX cards were being announced, there was a PCB that also leaked on Reddit back then, I believed, and that was like less than a month before the actual announcement from NVIDIA at Gamescom. So this puts us pretty close to us understanding that Navi is launching soon, and pictures are starting to leak. Maybe performance benchmarks will start to come out at some time in the near future of engineering samples. But yeah, certain parts of it don't look very good. It looks like just another AMD launch where things are hot and loud, draw way too much power, and are kind of unnecessary. So hopefully that's not what's happening. We all are holding our thumbs, which is a South African expression, might be elsewhere in the world. We're holding our thumbs hoping that AMD is actually gonna be good here. But then there's also indication based on some of the drivers coming out for Linux for Navi that Navi will be based on the GCN architecture, which I believe there was hope that it wouldn't be because GCN is just memory hungry but also memory starved, and it's not the most efficient way of doing things, and AMD has suffered for the use of GCN, and obviously it ages better than everybody else, and as we can see in things like the Vulkan API, it can leverage GCN a bit better, but it's not the way that it works overall. And if Navi is going to continue on this, hopefully they have some secret sauce in the next generation of GCN that makes it so it's not garbage. I bought that, by the way. I wasn't given that GPU. But then there's also more leaks and information coming out. BioStar, as well as I believe ASRock, have put out promotional materials surrounding X570 motherboards, announcing that the next gen of motherboards are coming for AMD. So X570 being teased, looks like we have a ASRock Phantom Gaming X570 teaser, as well as the BioStar X570 Racing teaser, saying that they're going to be launching them at Computex. So all of that's really good. But then The hottest bit of news about Ryzen 3000 is that there's a post on Bilibili indicating that they have some indication on the performance level of Ryzen 3000. Now, this isn't going to talk about the number of cores that it's going to have. Obviously, one of the big things that the Adored TV leak was talking about was how we should get 16 cores on the desktop AM4 platform. Not so much discussion of that, but rather the actual speed of the processor, which would indicate that we're going to be getting a 15% improvement in IPC. So that means a Ryzen 3000 series CPU clocked at 3 gigahertz will run 15% better than the Ryzen 2000 equivalent. And then on top of that, it looks like it also will be boosting up to 4.5 gigahertz, which is actually kind of good. That's quite good. 4.5 gigahertz, obviously everybody wants that 5 gigahertz mark that Intel hits, but if they have a 15% IPC improvement, that would actually put them either on par or better than the Intel equivalent right now. So especially with more cores, that would make Ryzen the actual best gaming chip on the market. Supposedly, hopefully. Obviously, this is just a leak. And then there's also the indication that X570 is going to have 40 PCI Express lanes, which is quite good. And then A320 boards will not support 3rd gen Ryzen, which would make sense if they have a higher power delivery, they have a new way of delivering power, they have more cores. A320 wasn't built with that in mind, so actually releasing something where it's still supported on AM4 with B350 and X370, but not with A320. So there's a lot to dissect there. There's a lot to wait for. 15% IPC improvement is actually pretty good for a year-on-year improvement over Ryzen 2000. So hopefully that's what's going to happen. We still, again, no indication of core count or pricing, which is really where the Adored TV shown off in its making people want itness. You're welcome for that statement. Anyways, you know what else people are going to want? Ryzen 2700X 50th anniversary edition, yes, because it's golden and it has at least a SUSE signature. And apparently for $50 more, you get 2 free games. What you'll get included is the Division 2 Gold Edition, World War Z, a black cotton t-shirt with AMD 50 artwork on both sides, and a special case badge with another signature from Lisa Su. Cool. Is that worth paying $50 more? If you need the Division 2 and World War Z, it's actually a pretty good discount. If not, it's just a 2700X, man. But you know what? This 50th anniversary edition stuff is making people really question the PC master race, especially since John Petty Research just came out saying, hey, you know all these features that consoles be getting? Like keyboard and mouse support, like FreeSync support, like the things that are turning them into PCs? Yeah, well, people are gonna leave the PC master race and go to console gaming. 20 million of them by 2022. So in the next 3 years, we're gonna have 20 million brethren jump ship and leave us behind and not know the gloriousness that is ray tracing, although consoles will get ray tracing, but not as good as my $1,200 RTX 2080 Ti, thank you. I will have the better ray tracing and you will be stuck with console crap, okay? What's wrong with you people? But then there's also the fact that, you know, all of these features that consoles are getting are just turning them into PCs. So, I mean, at what point will the difference stop being there and then it just becomes a really good pre-built PC with less functionality, which is all they are right now, but they're also missing features. Still can't do 240 hertz gaming, can you? Consoles. Look at it. You dropped on your head. Consoles. Huh? Did your mother not love you enough? Why do you not have 240 hertz gaming? Why you do me like that? You know what Sony's doing though? They're making a lot of money. So 2018 to 2019 financial year results are out. The most profitable year ever powered by PlayStation. They made more money in 2018 than the entire PlayStation 2 era. That's crazy. PS4 made more money in 2018 than the entire years of PS2. And I bought a lot of PS2 games. Gosh dang, I bought less PS4 games last year than I did in PS. Anyways, PS5, Sony has confirmed that it's not going to be releasing within the next 12 months. So like at least May of 2020, if not longer. So cool, good stuff. Samsung 970 Pro launching in 2 terabyte capacity. You're welcome. In case you really need that high capacity, high speed NVMe drives. But you know who needs stuff? Intel, because they're not doing great. They had their first quarter report of 2019 for the financial results, and while the money was okay, the first quarter of 2019 was actually pretty good for them. It was what the conference call said was coming. That's really bad. So The CEO indicated that the CPU shortages should last until the third quarter of 2019, and then also talked about how, things aren't really moving forward in a way that's healthy. And it's actually a really weird thing because the CEO of Intel was just like, yeah, we're still struggling to make chips, but then like Microsoft in their conference call was like, yeah, that's not a big deal. The Intel, it's the CPU shortage. What CPU shortage? We're doing fine. So obviously several companies trying to spin the fact that Intel isn't making enough chips into a way that their shareholders aren't going to freak out. But while Intel did make a pretty decent amount of money in Q1, it is down year on year from Q1 of 2018, and it doesn't look like it's going to be picking up because while they're expecting to launch 10 nanometers later this year with Ice Lake, it's not going to be on desktop. They expect their first full year revenue decrease in 3 years. So they're not on a good foot. And then obviously Bob Swan, who's the new CEO, he's not an engineer. He's not really versed in the actual development of CPUs. He was more on the financial side. So while it might be that he can actually help them recover from this like financial debacle, it might be in a form where they strip down some services and not actually come back to the prominence to which they were once at, and with good technology and all of that kind of stuff. But the CEO says that the 14 nanometer chip shortage will never happen again. They'll never have a shortage of chips, but that's probably because they're not going to be able to make 10 nanometers. So like, everybody's going to be buying AMD, and AMD is going to have to deal with the shortage and not them because Intel's going to be the underdog. But as I mentioned, it does look like Intel, they had the issue with the 5G modems that they were supposed to put into Apple. Well, it looks like they're trying to get rid of the modem business altogether and sell that off, which obviously would help because they probably were losing a ton of money trying to develop 5G modems, which is why they just couldn't meet Apple's demand, which is why Apple went with Qualcomm, and then Intel was like, dang it, okay, fine, we'll leave, thanks, okay. Bye. And then in the best headline of the day, Jeopardy producers have stripped contestants of their God-given right to bet $69 on Final Jeopardy. You might remember Ken Jennings, who had the longest streak on Jeopardy ever, and apparently during Final Jeopardy it was one of his things to just bet $69, but now it's officially forbidden by Jeopardy, including 4 other amounts that contestants are not allowed to bet on Final Jeopardy. Who knows what they are? If I had to guess, $420. Then in this article, they speculate that it's $80,085, which would spell boobs. But what are the other ones? No, nobody knows. My favorite part of this article, though, is when he just ends up going on the rant saying, because of course the effing neo-Nazis would find a way to take some of the joy out of Jeopardy. Oh, apparently. No, they actually have the answer. So the number 1488 and 1488 are associated with neo-Nazi propaganda. Don't know anything about that. 420 is allowed, so that's going to be the new amount, but 666 isn't. How's that? That's not even what the Bible verse means. Gosh dang. Can popular culture please learn that the reference of 666 isn't a numerical value that we're supposed to be afraid of, okay? Okay? This is bad. This is just bad hermeneutics. Please stop, okay? I've read the Bible. It doesn't mean you're supposed to be afraid of the number, okay? Chill. Don't give the devil a number. What's up with that? That's the end of hot news. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. Hit the like button, get subscribed, check out our other channels. Maybe support us on Patreon if you want to help encourage us to do things around here. I'm Brett. Love you too.